Madam Chair, and thank you, panelists, for being here today. I think it's no secret to anybody who's watched my performance on this committee that I've been a longtime critic of the IRIS program. In the last Congress, while serving as the chairman of the Environment Subcommittee, I sponsored legislation to effectively eliminate IRIS in its current form and return chemical assessments to the appropriate program offices at EPA. That bill, the Improving Science and Chemical Assessments Act, was voted out of the full SST committee last July. I've reintroduced this bill in the current Congress, but I doubt, for some reason, that it will be reported out of this committee again anytime soon. And I'm disappointed with that, of course, that the chemical assessments process at EPA has not received a complete structural overhaul, despite years and years' worth of criticism and observations by NAS and GAO. That said, apparently there's been some few glimmers of hope at EPA over the last couple of years, and I'm happy about that. But clearly there are at least some high-level officials at the agency who generally believe that, one, chemical assessment should rely on good, transparent, publicly available science, and that's true. And two, chemical assessment should be carefully tailored to serve program and regional office needs, and I'm happy about that. And I want to hear more from your perspective, Mr. Gomez. The most recent GAO report on the IRIS program reiterates yet again that EPA should develop an action plan that, among other reforms, places primary responsibility for chemical assessments in the relevant program offices. Is that a fair characterization?
No, sir.
Please state how would you characterize it?
So so IRIS, you know, the way IRIS came about, it was because there were many different program offices doing their own chemical assessments. Sometimes different values were generated, and so this was an effort to centralize and to come up with agency consensus on these assessments. And I'm sure that Jennifer can also talk about that history and evolution of the IRIS program. So that is our understanding of it, and our reports on the high-risk list on IRIS is looking to improve the IRIS program, to make it more timely, to make it more transparent, as you said, so that it is using the best available studies that are out there, and it's going through the proper levels of review, both internal and external peer review.
Well, can you explain why the EPA leadership has been criticized for beginning to do what GAO has been requesting?
So, and again, in our current report, we focus on, we do talk about the progress that EPA is making, which we've been chatting about, but we also talk about other challenges that the program is facing. And so we were drawing attention to the delays in issuing the assessments. As we've said, these assessments take a long time, sometimes years to do. So that's what we've been focusing on. And there is a lot of progress, and we do note that in the ratings that we do for the IRIS program, but yet there's still challenges ahead.
Well, one of the interesting pieces of testimony that I'm taking from this today is this notion of the handbook that may have been ordered 8 years ago, recommended 8 years ago, certainly recommended 4 years ago, and yet I think it just takes a lot of moxie to come in here today and say, well, the reason we don't have this done is because we had a 35-day government shutdown this year. That's incredible moxie and doesn't get at the heart of this, but I think it does get at the heart of what the ultimate problem with IRIS is, and that is a bogged-down bureaucratic system that needs to be streamlined and fixed. And I hope that you take that into consideration. It's meant as positive feedback. I hope that it's criticism that requires and produces some real self-evaluation, because I'm still disappointed at the IRIS program, and I'm disappointed at the almost glacial pace that we see in change in that program. I yield back.